This episode of The Casual is brought to you in part by Squarespace. For all your website needs, Squarespace delivers it in an all-around package to help you build a beautiful, integrated online presence.
More fashion brands fail than succeed. That's well documented, but why they fail is a bit harder to determine or understand. So today, we're gonna line up some reasons why they fail with some solutions to avoid failure. On top of that, our good friends at Squarespace are making a few cameos this episode to illustrate the solutions a brand can take to mitigate or even completely eradicate the mistakes that can lead to brand failure. So I'm your boy, Reggie Casual. Let's get it. To begin, most brands that fail lack focus. Very simple. This usually plagues untrained designers or those not versed in the fashion business. For the most part, untrained brand runners and even those who went to school for it get bogged down in the art or passion of fashion and put business strategies and philosophy in the back seat, and they shouldn't. This is easily rectified if new brands plan accordingly before executing. Understand how every part of your brand works and how the system of your business is going to work, from the design planning to the marketing. That means everything from font choice on print and digital assets, color choice, to how you integrate those elements on something like a website is paramount to maintaining focus for your brand. For example, Squarespace, they actually give you the tools within the back end of your eventual website so you can make those focused adjustments all the way down to the exact spacing of your layout, which is crazy. But it's important to remember not to enslave yourself to the details. Just don't half-ass those details, whole-ass the details, and that's how you maintain focus. The next reason why brands fail is that more often than not, the brand runner lacks the necessary design skills to match their ambition. To which I say, study up, study up. You're gonna have to learn this stuff anyway if you wanna be in the business, so it's best to invest in your knowledge of design and business. Understanding shape, balance, color theory, proportion, marketing, etc. can only help you. And while there are a ton of services that provide really useful design shortcuts and business shortcuts like Squarespace's pre-built website templates that also give you a level of control and creativity to make any website truly yours, but they do have it, it's still important to understand design concepts beforehand, because it will only make you better. Instead of playing it by ear, hoping that somehow financial good fortune will rain upon you and make you a better designer, which is weird, you should be pretty well versed before you start the business of fashion. The next problem a brand may face is inconsistent branding. And this is really a piggyback off of the last two in focus and design skill. Because if your brand has focus and skilled design behind it, the likelihood of having great branding is incredibly high. And if it isn't great, it's at least consistent. Branding, of course, deserves its own episode, but think of branding as the image of your brand, its story, without using words, its voice and identity. Branding is why some of the best labels and brands in the world are some of the best brands and labels in the world. There is a consistency to them that is predictable, unshakable, yet confident. Without it, these brands would be lost and without direction. And we come to another shameless Squarespace plug, but it's a good one. Say you're integrating one of the several social media accounts that you can integrate on a Squarespace website. Let's say it's Instagram, which is pretty simple. And say your website is pretty professional, very clean, minimal, design is great, looks snazzy, but the pics on your Instagram account look like hot garbage and in no way reflect the professional branding of your website. That, my friend, is bad branding. In gaming, we actually call that immersion breaking. Right? So you're doing something that completely takes you out of the context of the game. In this sense, you're completely taking your customer out of the context of your brand. And this leads us to the whole kit and caboodle. I like that phrase. A big reason why a fashion label may fail is because the presentation is simply subpar. It might seem crazy, but humans actually take presentation pretty seriously. Crazy thought, right? Not really. Imagine watching a football game, right? Imagine this, soccer or American football. And at the very beginning of the game, the players' uniforms were already dirty. You'd probably, as a fan, you'd probably be like,
what the hell happened?
For fashion and pretty much any industry, it's the same thing. Presentation is important. And it's a shame so many startup labels place the entire presentation of their brand on the back burner. It's just as important as your collection. Get it together and you'll have less issues. Another issue failing brands and labels may have is that they lack the very most important thing when it comes to starting a label:
a community.
If a brand doesn't attempt to community build, it's a surefire way to suck it up bad. Far too many startup labels focus on selling product before building a community, not realizing that building a community is the best path forward to sales and success. The good news? You live in a time where it's easier to community build than ever. Unfortunately, too many brands rely far too heavily on the new ways without referencing the old ways that still work. Digital social outreach is good, but networking, showcasing, and participating in the communities you will eventually serve with your label in the physical realm is still highly effective. For example, up until this point, I've been plugging Squarespace several times, right? I'm like, yo, you can save 10% off on your website. You can use our code, blah, 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 right? But if you don't make an effort to build a community, having a website is a moot point, because without a community, you won't sell a damn thing. So do everything you can to build a community. But this next mention is actually pretty cool. So it's a Squarespace plug, but it's a really good one. It's actually one that I love, right? So they make it super easy to build and consolidate that community, that eventual community that you'll have. They got their own newsletter builder, which is cool, still helps with branding, focus, etc. You know, I like that. But now they have a new function. They have this new members area where you can consolidate content, offerings, products, and even community pages for your biggest fans, turning your brand into an exclusive event for the community that you can cultivate and grow. So even they understand, even Squarespace understands the power of communities and how a brand can leverage that community to grow their label. This gets us into the next issue. Too often, startup labels lack an identity, or the identity is far too vague and or broad. For trained designers, however, this is not so much of an issue because this is a given. You're actively taught in school to speak through design. And how many times you hear that? Untrained designers, however, have a habit of waxing poetic about the message of their label, trying to be deep because the designs may not reflect that deepness at all. Seriously, how many brands have you heard personally that encourage people to hustle or be themselves or chase their dreams or free think or go against the grain or rebel against the system? Far too many to count, and you know that. That's because it's personal. The brand runners in these cases are actually talking about themselves and what they are doing. It's essentially their "I'm gonna show everybody what I'm made of" moment. And they drape their brand in these ideas because the brand itself is a conduit for self-motivation. Solution? Make it less personal. Your fashion brand is your vision, but it isn't for you. It's for
the people.
Or at least the people you distinctly want to reach. That's why your branding and identity have to be on point, because it isn't about you. And honestly, there's really no way to shoehorn Squarespace into this one. That's just good advice, I think. So yeah, save 10% by using our code. So next up, we gotta double up on why brands fail. First, a lot of startup label runners have a rudimentary understanding of marketing. And two, that's because failing brands lack identity. The brands just lack identity. For example, I am not sorry for continuing to plug Squarespace. And many of you might be like, that's because they paying you, dog. That's why you not sorry. And I'll be like,
well, yeah.
But they also provide a service that I mess with because it helps the Casuals community of future brand and fashion entrepreneurs, providing them with professional, branded, and easy to use websites for their startup label lines up perfectly with our internal goal of promoting the unsung designers, brands, and labels that are frankly doing amazing work. Because marketing is not so much about selling as much as it's about creating and maintaining a relationship with your potential customer. And that's usually built on trust. And trust can only be obtained by being authentic, sometimes brutally so. So be honest. But marketing is also about analyzing data, measuring results, tracking progress, best SEO practices. All of these are important to perform effective marketing strategies. All things a good website and pretty much every social media business account can track. So you should use that stuff. And yes, Squarespace does have that included. But also study up on marketing by reading on its philosophy and tactics, which is sure to help you. And now we're gonna hit you with that triple. We're gonna end this out, round it out, and give you the last of why brands fail. It's real easy, because the reality is
You are broke.
far too many failed brands either 1, overspend, usually on production, 2, cut financial corners, often because they overspend on production, and 3, lack sales knowledge and use unproven sales strategies that make them even more broke. And they all work in tandem, honestly. Solution, study production, sales, pricing, warehousing, shipping, sampling, manufacturing. We literally did a whole last video on manufacturing on this channel. Go check it out. But also you should study marketing. Quite simply, the most successful brands, by the time they launch, are estimating potential sales because they already have
A community.
And the only financial corners you should cut are the ones that provide as close to or equal the same quality, but are just provided at a cheaper price, like saving 10% on your website by using our code squarespace.com/thecasual. You see how I'm saying? You see how that works? It adds up, these discounts, these things where you can find deals. I'm telling you, find where you gotta discover, you gotta search. And sales, well, you can't invite people to the house if the house isn't even built. I.e., you can't sell a damn thing if nobody knows your brand exists. So study up on this business of fashion is the point. Marketing, community building, networking, learn the ins and outs, and become a beast. And of course, a big shout out to Squarespace. Again, save 10% by using our code squarespace.com/thecasual. But also, if you want more insight into the business of building a brand, fashion, personal, or otherwise, join us on Patreon for our series class, where we give you the ins and outs of the brand building process, as well as access to our private Discord filled with brand, personal, brand entrepreneurs all over the place, and then just people who like fashion, which is always awesome. But most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info on international street fashion culture and business from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. And I will see you guys in a minute.